Hi guys, we're here with Team suPURDUEper from Indianapolis, Indiana, here at the Lafayette District in First, Indiana. We're here to talk about all their different systems on their robot, from their ground intake to their indexer, and finally, their long shooter. We're going to go into why this robot is so successful on the field, that they have won both their district events so far, and looking pretty good at this third one. Coming up next on Behind the Bumpers. Right, Luke, start us off by talking about your intake.
All right, so this is our intake. Ground intake's off the ground. When the ball hits it, when we were prototyping, we saw that a lot of intakes like kick up like this a lot when they're intaking. We wanted to minimize that. We found with lower compression, it does it a lot less, but it actually intakes better with lower compression. And actually, it we got a little bit of dead zone here, but it kicks it up once we have the my fault. Yeah, it pulls it up when it's going at speed and when other balls come through it. And then it comes down here and it just rolls to the ground already. And we were prototyping at the start a polycarb plate on top of this hex right here. But we found it actually caused more problems than it solved, because the balls just automatically roll down anyways. And then when it hits the roller floor, it just kind of, the roller floor was simple because we have a really wide shooter, so we didn't really have any problems with indexing the balls like a zipper through it. And then it would just hit the feeder and shoot straight up like that.
Before we get to our next segment, we'd like to thank the following. As you're getting ready for the competition season, think AndyMark as your one-stop shop for all your team needs. AndyMark's Launcher in a Box is a configurable solution that so many teams are finding success with for the rebuilt season. Also available at AndyMark.com, the AMPD AndyMark Power Distribution Board that provides 24 40-amp independently fused output channels for safe, reliable power distribution. That's AndyMark.com. Kettering University's cutting-edge programs in their experiential co-op model seamlessly blend the professional and academic worlds, offering hands-on, future-focused learning that empowers students to pursue new ideas and inspires other institutions to follow their lead. Don't just be ahead of the curve, create the curve. Get more information at kettering.edu/first.
Despite the fact it might not seem necessary, everything on our robot is controlled with velocity control or position control. Our intake, our roller floor, our uptake, our feeder, because having that precision in controlling where the robot is gaining or losing inertia is really important for the consistency of our robot. If we want to move to the roller floor.
Our roller floor is powered by two Krakens X60s. When prototyping, we decided that to get maximum throughput, more rollers is better. It kind of shoves all the balls through. The weight of the balls helps with the first couple, really pushes them through. We have a 3-inch compliant, or 3-inch stealth compliant feeder wheel. This really helps us get the shooter up to speed. Moving into the shooter, we have a kicker wheel powered by two X60s. This is ran almost 1-to-1. Then our main flywheel is ran by 5 X44s. Between Lafayette, or Mishawaka, and Columbus, we decided that we didn't need a climber. We didn't use it. What we needed was less compression and higher throughput, which we got that by.
There were a couple different things we did. Number one, our roller floor used to be belted to the same motor as this green compliant wheel here. That caused a lot of compression and made it overall slower. We thought separating them, and we were correct in this, separating them allowed us to control the flow of inertia once again. Our robot is as simple as it can be and no simpler, and with that comes a lot of accuracy and tuning that needs to be done. If Bennett wants to go back to talk about the shooter.
We decided when we knew we wanted more inertia on the shooter, we were between a drum tube on what actually powers the balls and the flywheel. We decided that we didn't need as much weight if we had a larger radius. So that's why we went with a flywheel. We had space over here. Yeah, because we removed the climber. Our hood is powered by an X44. It's geared relatively low. And we have 2 rollers here. And all of our dead zones or space that's not in a roller has a 3D print that mounts to tubes.
Why did you choose to go with rollers on the back versus a hood?
We wanted a really consistent ball path, consistent compression, and having these powered gives us a backspin on a ball, gives us a consistent path through the air. We knew that we didn't want mid-air collisions, so having the ball go fast through the air, finding the right angle, and giving it backspin gave us the best consistency.
Another thing that helps us prevent mid-air collisions is this flywheel over here. When we shoot 3 balls out at a time, you can imagine we lose quite a bit of inertia. That loss in inertia makes in the flywheel makes the subsequent balls come out a lot slower. When your balls aren't all going at the same velocity and same arch, that's one of the main culprits of mid-air collisions. Through PID tuning and obviously the flywheel and compression and testing, we have found out how to get the least mid-air collisions as possible. If Bennett wants to talk more about prototyping.
Yes, prototyping is very important. We didn't decide super early on whether we wanted to do a turret or a triple wide shooter. We knew that we wanted to do whatever gave us the most throughput. So we prototyped both. We prototyped a spindexer, we prototyped a die rotor, and we prototyped this big roller floor. We decided that this roller floor gave us a lot of throughput, so that's what we wanted.
And that's kind of the main focus of our robot is throughput. If you see, we don't index much of anything other than this little panel here. A lot of times you'll see when robots have a 2 wide or 3 wide shooter, they'll separate in between. Yes, it can be good for consistency, but that indexing and serializing takes up so much more time than just shooting them through. And through prototyping, we decided we don't need to index it, we don't need to serialize it, we just need to get all of them through as fast as possible. If Levi wants to show you how we shoot.
So our controls are about as simple as the robot itself. I only press 3 buttons around the entire match. You've already seen our intake. Once we have those balls in the roller floor, they come down to the shooter, and from there, they follow all the rollers and shoot up. And because of the flywheels and all of the motors that we have, we can get some pretty good distance along with our accuracy, which helps a lot in getting a higher score.
Some important things to note after he shot is our flywheel is still running. Of course, he disabled it. Our flywheel is still running. In a match, we never stop running our flywheel at an idle speed, and this helps us conserve energy because energy is such a big thing in this game, whether it be the drivetrain or the flywheel, honestly taking a lot of the power. Something important to note about his auto aim button is he can hit it anywhere on the field, whether it be in our zone or not our zone. If we're in, let's say, the neutral zone or the opposing alliance, it auto feeds to the other side with the correct RPM and hood angle. And if we're on our side, we use the meters from the center of the hub to calculate what hood angle we need to be at and what RPM we need to be at. This then, when we are ready, turns the LEDs on the top green, making our driver's job even easier.
I can show you when we auto aim, like Ezra was saying, the lights on the top turn green whenever it's ready to shoot. So it calculates how much RPM we need and when the hood angle is right. And then all the lights would turn green. And from my station, I watch the lights and it helps me know when I'm actually able to shoot so we won't miss as many shots.
I would like to explain that little red flicker there is because we use vision. The April tags are huge in the way that we position ourselves on the field, know where we are, and also for aiming. We don't have an April tag in here. The robot has no clue where it is, and yet it still used its best guess to aim the hood and get to the correct RPM. Consistency, especially in autos and just teleop code, is really important for us. We have a very, very consistent auto that we can change whenever we want. Our autos are all put in methods, so we can implement any pass we want without having to change the logic. That's huge for between match strategy and maximizing throughput in auto because it's such a strategic thing to have the correct hub schedule during a match. If Bennett wants to talk more about strategy.
Yes, we do a lot of strategy. Before each match, we go to each team. What's really important to us is that 10-second transition period. Once we win auto, we immediately, our driver looks for balls during auto, we sweep and come back and shoot as much as we can. We also prioritize feeding. Since we have a lot of throughput, feeding is very effective for us. We can a lot of times get more than a hopper in our non-period. So we feed that and we get it back up once we hit our period.
All right.
Another huge part of strategy for us and strategizing in between matches is logging. We log out almost every value in our robot throughout the match, whether that be estimated position, vision position, how far we are from the center of the hub, whether we're in our zone or not, all of our robot states, RPM, estimated RPM, everything like that. And that's huge because if something goes wrong in the match, it takes us pulling the logs and scrolling through it to see where it went wrong and narrow out the majority of the reasons it could go wrong.
Well, that sounds like an excellent robot. Thank you, 7457, for taking us through and walking us behind the bumpers. Good luck with the rest of your tournaments, and we'll see you at state. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to stay up to date on future fun videos. Kettering University's cutting-edge programs and their experiential co-op model seamlessly blend the professional and academic worlds, offering hands-on, future-focused learning that empowers students to pursue new ideas and inspires other institutions to follow their lead. Don't just be ahead of the curve, create the curve. Get more information at kettering.edu/first. As you're getting ready for the competition season, think AndyMark as your one-stop shop for all your team needs. AndyMark's Launcher in a Box is a configurable solution that so many teams are finding success with for the rebuilt season. Also available at AndyMark.com, the AMPD AndyMark Power Distribution Board that provides 24 40-amp independently fused output channels for safe, reliable power distribution. That's AndyMark.com.